Alright, you guys know how much I love to fish with live bait. I got a new bait box over here. What do you think? Yeah, get some nice pike and muskie on those. Yeah. Just kidding. What I really want to talk about though is pike fishing today. My favorite summertime fishing is northern pike. Unfortunately, they can be pretty hard to find in warmer water. They're cold water fish. But I can still usually find them pretty easily if I target the right submerged structure. Here's where I can find them most of the time. This is the lake I fish the most. It's about 2 miles from my house, and it's a smaller lake, only about 60 acres. I've learned this lake like the back of my hand. When I started fishing here, it's because I heard there were pike. And so I started marking on this lake map where we're catching keeper pike. Now you can see there's some patterns developing. I got a straggler up here, 3 here, 4 in this section, and then I got about 20 right here in this little cove area around, coming around the point into this little cove area. Why all right here? Why is that the spot? Now I've got a couple theories going on about that, but what seems to hold the most true is the function of natural pinch points. When we're out there fishing, those natural pinch points, those particularly the those underwater points that kind of jut out like that. I don't know why. I don't know, other than it must be great ambush territory. That is where we catch pike. Not on just on Engelwright Lake, but on all the lakes where we're fishing for pike. Most of the summer pike, they're caught in about 15 to 25 feet of water around those natural points, or maybe around some of the submerged humps underground, kind of like a sunken island, that type of thing. And trolling in those points with something like a good old Hottentot, let's grab some of those, often is the key. Now I know that Hottentots are considered old-fashioned, but the pike don't care. A basic, the smaller size, the 3/8 basic Hottentot. I like Fire Tiger, it works well in my water. We can get the bigger ones, they work pretty good too. It's just a basic Hottentot of all lures. A lot of people don't even know what those are anymore. They work great around here because they like to go deeper. They're a deeper diving lure, and I can get them kind of the 12 to 15 foot depth if I'm trolling at about 100 to 125 feet of line, which is kind of my standard. I like to run them deep, and when I catch those pike, that big group of pike you saw marked on the map will be coming around here, but then coming across here, kind of cutting between this 30-foot mark, back through the 20 and 15 into this shallow, and then curving back out quickly to get back into this 30-foot mark. And it's when we go from the 30, dipping in real little, it's when we go from that 30, dipping into the 20 to the 15 quick and jetting back out, in between this 30 and 50 and off of the point. Now that looks like great ambush territory if you ask me. I'm not the expert, I'm just getting more experienced at it, but I have found that's where I catch the pike. I've talked with a lot of other pike fishermen. Yes, a point. Those underwater points or shoreline points where there's a deep drop off right in front of them are classic spots, especially if there is a nice thick weed bed underneath. If there isn't, then just trolling around the weed bed edge of the drop off will work. But marking them on my map, I only caught about 5 or so trolling around the weed bed, and I've got over 20 trolling around that specific point on the weed bed. So what you're looking for are those ambush points. The pike are ambush predators. They will ambush and hunt any time of the year, but they do slow down in the warm water. Another aspect of these points is we get the water current swirling more. It will bring up water from down deeper along the point. You're going to bring that colder water as it comes up and hits the point, kind of circulates it up. So you get colder water coming up shallower. It's cooler right off a point than anywhere else in the water normally. That's another reason at which I think the pike are more around these submerged points, because it's a little bit cooler. They're just comfy there. When they're comfy, they want to eat, because all pike want to do is eat and then do a little bit of spawning and get back to eating. I like to troll for them. I'm trolling with my ugly stick cat rod on an old fluger reel, and I'm not using a wire leader on my line. However, okay, there's a reason for that, but by not using a wire leader and I can see there's some good fraying going on. I have to change this out and cut off about 6 inches of line after every fish to avoid wrecking my line. I like no wire leader because it gives me a little bit faster wibble wobble on my Hottentots, and I think that helps me to get more strikes. I'm not sure. If you do use a wire leader, it is going to be simpler, and I'm going to have to try it and see if it actually makes a difference. I haven't tried it much, so I will have to see. So again, what we're looking for pike, we're going to be looking for that primary ambush structure of pike, and normally it's going to be a thick weed bed, a nice thick mat of weeds like a milfoil that's absolutely everywhere thick around here. You can find it 15 feet thick, 15 foot tall mats of that stuff growing off the bottom. And if we can find an edge along that where those weeds drop down, usually as it goes down a drop off, or if we can just fish along the top of a smaller dense weed bed, we have a good chance of drawing some pike out of it. But the most tend to be if we can find bottom structure where there's that submerged point coming into the deeper edge of the water, or where we have some nice, like a sunken island, a nice round rise in the ground. Those tend to be good structures if there are good weed cover around. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that pike hate warm water, and they want to be cold. They like cooler water. Warm water shuts them down. Keep in mind that they love weeds. If the water around the weeds is cool enough, they're going to be in the weeds. That's their favorite ambushing area. They're so skinny, they slide in the weeds so well, and they love to ambush right out of the edge of the weed bed. And they like points because it tends to bring up that cooler water. At least I think that's why. Now, people say you got to keep these videos super short because everybody has a lacking attention span these days, so I guess I'll end it here. I'll catch you later. Go get some fish. Hey, let's go fishing!